the internet. I know it's been a while, but it's just that many events have been occurring in my life. Like, I had school, it was the weekend, so I went to a chess tournament, therefore I couldn't record or edit a video. And I had trouble since I actually did make a video before this on openings, which is the video this is about, and it kind of failed since I had to record a 90-minute video. So in this video I'm gonna make sure I have it quick, not about 15 minutes, because it turns out that is a problem whilst recording. So let's get started immediately. Okay, so if you recall from our last video, I told you guys that we were going to do openings. I have 3 positions already set, and we'll take a look at them. So, the first opening, 2 positions with white actually, and 2 positions with black. So we have the chessboard, and this is known as the Italian game. The Italian game is when you have your bishop and knight out like this. So you start with this move, they start with this move, they go here, and then you go here. They can go there, or they can do this. Well, no, or they can do that. Any is fine. That's the Goccio piano, by the way. So, yeah, but in this case, we're gonna do this, preventing that bishop from ever coming to that square, so it can never come there. Okay, so then they play knight f6. You play knight c3, and then they play bishop e6. What you want to do is you want to make sure this is kind of like a 4 knights Italian game when these two are bishop staring. They're bishop offs. I like to call it like a cowboy when they both face each other. What you want to do is go back. You do not want to take, because once they take back, you really achieve nothing and you just help them have a stronger game. For example, if you did this, it's not that bad, but like, you want to really keep your bishop. There's no point into taking your bishop out of the game immediately. So that's why once they go here, you want to go back. And the reason why this is better is because you have the open file, and it's just going to be more beneficial in the end game. So then they play the queen here. Naturally, you play this move to try getting some development. They castle queenside. Your opponent could castle kingside here, but it's just like, in this case, it's better to castle queenside since you already moved the queen to d7. So they castle queenside. You pin the knight, and then they hit your bishop right here. Remember, this is just a variation. Many positions can look different. You just want to get the premise. Just get your bishop out. Make sure you don't let that bishop pin your queen, and that will happen in a lot of positions. You move back, they develop their bishop, you get your queen out, and sorry, that was a typo. And then you usually castle kingside. You don't castle queenside because you want to have this in balance sometimes. So even if they try pushing, this is not a very good move. If they try to push their pawns or try bringing an attack over on your side, you can do the same to them as well. What I mean by it is that now that you're not really affecting your structure, since the reason, if you haven't watched my video on king safety, I recommend you watch that, and how to attack the king. That'll help you a lot in this. The concept that we learned in those 2 videos is that you want to keep your king safe from these pawn storms. Pawn storms are when an army of pawns start to approach your king in a fast manner. What you need to do is make sure you have at least 2 defending pieces to stop the pawn storm. For example, this could happen. Well, sorry, it's not like the best idea to play. Maybe they could reroute their knight. They could try breaking in the center, and then just shredding you away. So be really careful of those things. And this basically the Italian game. Castle have a standard opening. This is a good opening for intermediate to 1400 rated players, since once you get it more advanced, you can do more of the tricky stuff. Unfortunately, I am not in that range, but I wish to be there soon. So now let's get into the second position. Okay, the second position, I just switched it. As you can see, this is a pretty weird position, but let me just reroll a few steps back. We start with a queen's pawn opening. So a queen's pawn is like this, and then you play the move bishop f4, playing the London system. This is known as the London system because you'll find out in a while. So once they go here, as you can see, the bishop comes out. And I like to think of London as a big place with towers. And that bishop looks like a tower to me. And that's why you move it on the second turn. And that's why how I remember it's called the London system. So a really good way to remember it. So what you want to do is get your knight to g3. That's guaranteed. Get your bishop to f4. That's guaranteed. And if they play a move like this, you'll see what I'm going to do. Usually, you defend that pawn, they play here. Usually, instead of this move, you would go here, having this pawn wall, and then knight d2, and then just have an easy game, you know? Just a regular game. But here, if the knight goes to c4, oh, black's in trouble, because then you can play a move like, sorry, the board got reset. Then you can play a move like pawn to c4, aka c4. And the reason what's happening here is that black's going to give up a center pawn for a wing pawn, and then the bishop is going to take on the c4 square, having an active bishop and having a full central control with no d-pawn. This is a tactic that happens when the knight gets on the square, since if the knight is not on the square, for example, if it's not there, we'll just go with regular moves. The knight does not appear on that square, then this move is not as powerful, because if the knight is on this square, right now, since the knight is not on this square anymore, then the knight cannot, it's not attacking anything. So that's why you want it on this square, because now they can just play here, and you'll be totally, they'll be totally fine. And they can actually start to pressure on the e5 square, which we do not want. And yeah, so that's why you want the knight to be there. There's many other complicated reasons. I won't get into that now, since I want to keep this video short. Okay, so that's the London. That's why I played that move. So let's now go into if they play this. So we go here. They extend the queen. As you can see, you saw the same pattern in the last position. As you can see, they tried to get their bishop out. You played the queen here. You connected your rooks. They're much stronger like this. And then you're just ready. And here is where you take it on yourself. You just push those pawns forward. You maneuver your queen this way. You get a knight here. Then you get a bishop down. It's going to be really hard. You have to close and expose the center of the board, since as you can see, the king is actually more to the center than your king is. As you can see, this is the center. And yeah, so that's basically trying to attack in the London system. The London system is I don't know why my mouse keeps on doing that. The London system is a very easy system to learn, a good system for beginners, around 850 to 1,000. But it's okay if you play above that rate. It's totally fine. These are just ranges I want to give you so you have a better time understanding the opening. Now that you got the London system in a good grasp, let's look into the final opening, which is for the black pieces, and it's one of the most handy openings, aka defenses, a little sneaky peek, the defenses in the game of chess. Okay, the final opening is called the King's Indian Defense. This is a really easy opening to learn. So I'm gonna just skim through these moves for a while. So first has to start with the queen pawn. You go here. If they go here, then you just extend the pawn and you get the structure. Okay? Nothing new. the exploit, and make sure that you don't castle immediately in this position. A lot of people fail to this because of the critical move e5 for the opponent white. Whole positions done my move too. Amazing. By move, what's this move? Around move 10, and you don't want that at all. So you want to make sure that you have this move, because if you play this move, pre-advancing, as you can see what happens, it is not that bad at all. It's a little bad, but at least you're not getting devastated. And actually, what the better move here is to do for black is to take. If they take with this, then you just take that. This happens, and then you just play maybe knight to, let's see, knight to g4. How about that? Re-attacking the pawn and capturing. This is if they take that. That's not going to happen very much. So you just go here. They develop everything. By the way, just a little non-speed up. They do this. They get those two bishops out. Get the queen in. Same pattern. And here is the important part. You have two pawn breaks in the King's Indian. c5 or e5. And that's why this pawn is really crucial here, because it supports both of them. If more pieces are facing on this square, then you might want to play this. Okay, that move. Because then you have this locked position, which is really handy in the King's Indian sets a move like maybe a6 and then b5, or knight b6 and then get the bishop in, and then eventually you will have to actually make a choice and start to move this knight out and then push. A lot of things can happen, and then that's where you really need to keep it together, since most of the time your opponents will play castles. You need to get ready for that. So you need to play a move like knight to g4, because if you play knight to g4, you attack the bishop, you get a nice stable knight there. It can also reroute, which is really handy if you need it. And I'm going to wrap this up. The King's Indian is a really short, simple attack opening that you want to learn, most likely, because most people will play the traditional d4 or e5 against you. So you need to learn how to defend against those. And that is all the positions I have planned today. Hopefully you guys enjoy my video. Sorry it was coming out late. I just had so much things to do. And the support is still awesome. Keep it up, and I'll see you in the next one.